What's going on, guys? Mateo Potato back here with a different kind of video this time. There's a challenge going around called the Tag Q&A. Now, a lot of different YouTubers in the community are putting up their videos on YouTube, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Favorite Transformer in your collection? That would have to be this guy. G1 Trypticon, very special to me, very dear to me. A lot of childhood memories come with this toy, so yeah, G1 Trypticon. Most expensive or valuable figure in your collection? A lot of these figures behind me are from trades, or they're gifts, or they're smaller purchases. So to be honest, if I had to guess the most expensive one, it would probably be my God Jinrai with the God Bomber. How many figures do you have in your collection? Well, I counted last year and I was around 500, 530, but I've added quite a lot to my collection since then. So if I had to guess, between 575 and 700, anywhere within that range, and probably within the 600 somewhere. Worst figure in your collection? I'm looking over at my movie and Unicron Trilogy shelf trying to determine which is the worst here. Probably this little piece of garbage right here. First movie, Legends Class Barricade. Just a piece of total crap. The legs don't bend all the way forward, so he's very off balance. He's like he's doing a permanent squat. His arm is super loose unless you get it in just the right position way back here, and then it stops moving altogether. His chest doesn't tap in. He's just crap. Best place to pick up Transformers. For me, there's a vintage toy store in South China called Bam Pow Toys. It's wonderful little vintage toy shop. He's got Transformers, Marvel stuff, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Thundercats, Turtles, anything you can imagine from the 80s. It's a big toy store. He takes trades in all the time, and I go in there all the time to check and see what he's got in his dollar room there. Sometimes you'll find some really cool stuff in the dollar bin. Worst place to buy Transformers? Now, I would say either Walmart or Target, except they've both kind of been on their game lately. They've both been restocking a considerable amount. Walmart more so than Target, so Target's probably the worst place in my area to go pick up toys. As far as like Toys R Us or anything like that, may it rest in peace. I never went to Toys R Us, mainly because the nearest one's an hour and a half drive away, so I just kind of stayed out of the way for that. Probably Target's the worst place to go. Even Kmart is more stocked up than they are. Yes, I still have a Kmart in my area. What do you want next? I'm assuming this is what I would like to purchase next, and there's a couple of things. Retail official wise, I would really like to purchase the deluxes in Wave 2 of Power of the Primes. Ripper Snapper especially, because I am definitely after the Terracons. For third party, probably Ocular Max's Terrahedris or the Rally Terrahedris, the yellow and white Trailbreaker, whichever one that is. Those two look gorgeous. What figure do you want that does not exist yet? Give me a Masterpiece Armada Prime. He showed up in the poll for Masterpiece Transformers that Starsaber ended up winning, which I'm glad he won, but at the same time, I would really love to see a Masterpiece Armada Prime because Armada is my jam. No pun intended. First Transformer I bought. Actually, I didn't buy Transformers up until like a couple years ago. All of my Transformers when I was little were G1 gifts from my great-grandfather, and then after that it was just Transformers for my birthday and Transformers for Christmas and all that. The first real official Transformer that I purchased myself was Combiner Wars Wheeljack, because that was when I got back into collecting, and I bought that figure. I was like, oh, that's neat, they made a Wheeljack, and I didn't know this one existed, so I bought that one. Official or third party? Honestly, I could care less. Collect what you collect. If you have a Masterpiece collection and there's a hole in your collection because an official party hasn't made it yet, go third party. Go look at the third party options that are available to you and choose the one that sits best with you. If you collect official, or if you collect only third party and you're missing something, it's not going to hurt to jump over the fence every now and then and get the other side. Thoughts on KOs? I hear a lot of good opinions on this one. A lot of people are like, no, KOs hurt the company, or KOs are the only way to go because they're cheaper. Well, it depends. You know, if a KO is just a complete replica of the official product, but it's cheaper and you can't afford the official one, go for it. It's not going to do anybody any harm. Hasbro and Takara have already said that the collector's market makes up about 20% of their income. They still have that 80% that's all toys, and that's not just for Transformers. They have Star Wars and My Little Pony and board games like Monopoly that they watch over. You know, somebody who can't afford an official Masterpiece Transformer going and buying a cheaper version, it might, you know, affect that one sale, but it's not going to affect that person's entire thought process on, oh, I'm never gonna buy an official Transformer again. I'm only gonna stick with knockoff third parties. But then you have stuff like Weijiang, who started by upscaling official products and adding some bits in to now making their own official figures with their Omega Supreme. And that route I also feel like is okay. If you're upscaling something and people just want a bigger version of it, like their MPP-10 oversized Optimus Prime, yeah, go for it. If you want a big Optimus Prime to display for your collection and you're not worried about scale or vehicle-wise or whatever, go for it. If you're more concerned with that kind of thing and you believe you want to stay away from that, go ahead. It's your own thing. But as far as just like straight up knockoffs go, like that thing that's been going around, that Mech Fan Toys was doing, the Power of the Prime Dinobots, there's no change other than metallic paint. Why would you go and buy that for, I think they said it was like $150 for the set, when you can literally find them on stores right now, and you can buy them online right now? If KO Company started doing that later on down the line, and upscaling them a bit, from like a Deluxe to a Deluxe Plus, or a Voyager-sized Dinobots, that would be okay, but why just completely straight up rip off the molds, paint it a shinier color, and then sell it for more expensive than what's going on right now? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Favorite character? Starsaber, hands down, favorite character. He's always been intriguing to me. He was always the more heroic type, but he was also flawed. He was like Optimus Prime with issues. The comics really kind of took that and twisted it to a 180 where he's much more of a religious zealot, which I'm okay with. You know, it's a different take, but that's not really my preference when it comes to Starsaber, which is why I'm dying to get a Starsaber Masterpiece, because that thing is my holy grail. Favorite series or toy line? It's a tie. It's a three-way tie between Armada for being my first Transformers show and my childhood love, animated, that I just recently watched and fell in love with and made me want to collect the entire toy line, and Prime for being basically the Dark Knight of the whole Transformers franchise, where it's dark, it's story-based, very heavily so, and it expands on the lore so much that it just adds to the franchise as a whole. Toy line, Prime, probably, because Prime does almost impossible animation designs and puts them to plastic very, very well, just like the Viacons. But then I'd have to say Animated also does the same thing, except it was back in 2007, before most engineering got to the level that Prime is at, so that's not really a fair comparison. Then you've got Armada and the Unicron trilogy, and that's very nostalgic to me, so I'm trying not to let that overrun everything else. So, Bayverse, yay or nay? I'm like 50-50 on this. Half the movies I've liked, half the movies I haven't. It felt like for a while when number 4 came out that the odd number movies were going to be my favorite. Number 3 is probably my favorite, Dark of the Moon, simply for how much is going on and the new characters that we're introduced to, like the Wreckers. But then number 5 came along and it tipped the scale from half and half to disliking more than I liked. I don't hate number 5. I don't hate The Last Knight. It's just not my thing. You know, I feel like they should have gone in a completely opposite direction, and they just kind of tried too much with too little. Did Hot Rod kill Optimus Prime? This is a very loaded question for the fandom, because I know there's a lot of people who just despise Hot Rod and think he should die and burn in a fire, and Optimus Prime is the end-all be-all of leaders of the Autobots. But we know that's not true, because Optimus Prime himself, you know, was passed on to be a Prime. Why would he not pass on the mantle? Yeah, Hot Rod messed up, but I feel like Hot Rodney Prime on YouTube said it best. The best characters in all of storytelling are the most flawed. People like Optimus Prime because he's heroic and he's brave and you may have grown up with him, but he did not do a single thing wrong in the G1 cartoon. He was always the smart, wise, cunning fighter, leader of the Autobots that we knew he would be. And then Hot Rod is this brash, young, hot-headed kid. And he makes mistakes. Those mistakes cost him dearly. And don't forget, he was not originally supposed to be the leader of the Autobots. Ultra Magnus was. And Ultra Magnus is brave and cunning. But in the end, it was Hot Rod who ended up defeating Galvatron and basically bringing quote-unquote peace to that universe. I feel like Hot Rod in the end kind of quote-unquote atoned for his sins and made it up in the end and became a pretty good leader. So that's it for the tag Q&A. I want to thank you guys for watching. And I challenge you guys to do this. If you're a Transformers fan, go answer these questions, and I look forward to hearing your answers. Like, subscribe, do whatever it is you guys do, and I will see you all in the next video. And until then, bye-bye.